Hello, good evening and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this edition, President Akufo-Addo assures government is working assiduously to complete external debt restructuring with bilateral creditors to enable the country restart stalled projects.
We're committed to concluding the external debt restructuring process as soon as possible so we move past the crisis. This will enable us to complete substantially projects that have been constrained due to financial challenges.
We are live with an economist, plus get a reaction from the business community. Also in this bulletin, significant growth in profit of banks help capital recovery after sovereign debt default. We'll hear from Fitch Ratings' latest assessment of the Ghanaian banking industry. Plus, Ghana likely to lose over $100 million in revenue due to failure to process raw cashew nuts produced in the country.
And the state of processing plants in Ghana is nothing to write home about. Virtually all the processing plants have closed down, except a few that are producing few thousands.
We have details of these and many for you. Please stay. Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We can now settle for our details now. And a significant growth in banks' profitability in 2023, driven by exponentially high yields on treasury bills, is helping the financial intermediaries' recovery in recapitalization from the large losses recorded in 2022 due to the Ghana's domestic debt exchange program. Now, that's according to ratings agency Fitch. Now, the UK-based firm said it expects profitability to remain strong in 2024 as treasury bill yields stay high despite decreasing from their peak. Here's more in this Business Desk report.
The restructuring of several domestically issued debt instruments in 2023 inflicted large net present value losses on sovereign domestic creditors and significantly weakened the banking sector's capitalization. However, the banking sector reported extremely strong profitability in 2023, driven by net interest margins benefiting from the exceptionally high treasury bill yields since the debt exchange was launched. This was despite incremental impairment charges from the sovereign debt exchange and higher loan impairment charges due to an increase in non-performing loans ratio. With dividend payouts likely to be limited, the strong earnings should support a significant capital improvement. Fitch added that strong profitability will complement the capital-raising initiatives encouraged by the Bank of Ghana, which instructed undercapitalized banks to present credible recapitalization plans last year. It concluded that it expects several banks to raise core capital from shareholders and to seek capital support from Ghana Financial Stability Fund.
Well, a big story we are following up for you. President Akufo-Addo has stated that government is committed to completing the external debt restructuring negotiations with bilateral creditors. Government is still in the process of concluding the deals after talks with China posed some initial challenges. Speaking during the State of the Nation's address a while ago in Parliament, President Akufo-Addo said it is imperative to conclude the negotiations quickly to begin the stalled projects.
Government successfully paid the first coupon of 2.3 billion cedis on the new bonds on 22nd August 2023. At the time, that was the single biggest payout of domestic payments in a single day for Ghana. We then paid 2 billion and 60 million cedis for the last leg of the domestic debt exchange on 5th September 2023. A week ago last Tuesday, on 20th February 2024, the second coupon of 5.8 billion cedis was paid to domestic bondholders. This is the largest coupon paid in a day in Ghana's history. On the external debt side, we achieved a significant milestone by reaching an agreement with our public creditors And I'll use this occasion to express our appreciation to the Republic of France and the People's Republic of China, co-chairs of the Official Creditors Committee, for their positive roles in this achievement. We've also intensified our engagement with our external bondholders on the principles of transparency, fair treatment, consistency with the IMF debt sustainability analysis, and good faith. We are focused and committed to accelerating the process. We're committed to concluding the external debt restructuring process as soon as possible, so we move past the crisis. This will enable us to complete substantially projects that have been constrained due to financial challenges.
Let's have a discussion on the back of this. Joining us via Zoom to do that, it is economist Dr. Patrick Esumeng. Thanks so much, sir, and good to see you here on Business Live. Now, yesterday we had a great discussion ahead of the presentation, and you did say that, well, you don't expect anything new apart from what was contained in the 2024 budget. Here we are today, the president expressing optimism that the debt negotiations with external creditors will be completed soon to allow major projects across the country that were stalled to restart. Now, do you share in his optimism, looking at the fact that negotiations have delayed more than expected?
Good evening and good evening to viewers. Now, I think when it comes to the whole debt exchange arrangement, especially the external side, the president and the former finance minister and the government has actually been more optimistic than they should be. You've seen that at every stage, they have gone ahead of themselves to announce timelines, and those timelines actually don't materialize. I think, and I take the president as saying he's expressing just a hope, because these are going to be very complex negotiations. These are not negotiations that we control. These are probably going to be more long and drawn out compared to what we've had with the bilateral creditors. These are commercial partners whose interests are different. They are not our development partners. They have no direct interest in trying to help us achieve our objectives. They have their own objectives that may not necessarily be ours. So I think it's good that we don't try and put too much timeline on it and just go into the negotiation with good faith, be transparent from our side as far as the data is concerned, and also show that we are people who are living in such a way that we deserve support, we deserve to be helped. So if we are able to cut some of our largesse and show that we are people we need and we are helping ourselves, all of those might go a long way to help with the negotiation.
Well, he did say that, well, so far, so good with negotiations with external creditors. But he also said that delays in the meantime, some of the 13 priority projects have been transferred onto the Government of Ghana budget, now within the same fiscal space to ensure their completion. Do you think that is fiscally viable, and can government really execute projects moved to Government of Ghana's budget, looking at the fact that revenue generation is a big challenge?
Yeah, I understand your point about the revenue generation and the fact that the 2024 expenditure lines have been drawn. There were no clear lines for putting these projects there. But we have to remember that we made a lot of savings from the domestic debt exchange alone. Now we finished we have made progress with the bilateral one, the foreign bilateral one. But the domestic debt exchange alone, we made a lot of savings. Those savings, as far as I know, were not accounted for in the budget that we read. The budget that was read, the 2024 budget, it didn't tell us, it didn't really give us an accounting of the savings that we made from the domestic debt exchange and what they were going to be used for. And as we go ahead with the foreign debt exchange, if we are able to negotiate, there will be additional savings. So in that sense, there will be fiscal space even outside of what was contained in the 2024 budget that makes room for that. You just hope that the government is a little bit more transparent in putting out documentation about exactly what the numbers are, which projects we are committing them to, and how long and when will we finish, so that we all know what we are doing with those savings. But in terms of where that funding will come from, I can put my hand on that as something, the savings that we made from the debt exchange. The 2024 budget proceeded as if we are going to make all the interest payment that we are supposed to make, that we are saving. So that gives us some fiscal space, and I see that's where probably the president is referring to.
I see. So the president did say that the appointment of the new finance minister, again, will not affect the IMF program and negotiations. Do you think that the new role of the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, will defeat these assurances?
I have no idea what. Yes, there's a title to the new appointment for the former finance minister. I have no idea what it means in practical terms and exactly what he's going to do. But in terms of the IMF program, I think a statement like that is necessary. It should be reassuring that even though there's been a change in who is directly at the helm of the finance ministry, we are going to go ahead with the program as agreed. But I have no idea why we've created a new role for the former finance minister and specifically what he's going to do. I have no idea.
Maybe government would have to come again to clarify the new rule. But what, in your view, do you make of the assertion that government has made the highest payment of about 5.8 billion cedis on various payments? Do you think this could cause inflation to go up again?
I'm surprised that the president was very emphatic in drawing attention to that. Look, we made a domestic debt exchange. We postponed some of our debt payment, and that means that some of the payments that were due had accumulated and become a lot. That's why we are making that such a huge payment. It's not like, it's people that we owe, that we delay the payment, and we reduce the amount we are paying them, and they have accumulated, and we are paying. So we shouldn't make it seem like it's any major achievement or anything like that. No.
Finally, before you go, what do you make of the overall address in terms of the true state of the Ghanaian economy, having listened to the president?
So I think that, first of all, there were a couple of very important pieces of information that the president shared. And the first one for me had to do with the progress, the apparent progress that has been made with the energy sector debt. So you do see, we know that some negotiations have been going. We know the government was having difficulty agreeing with the IPPs, but the president seemed to announce that some progress has been made and some savings are coming our way. I think that was great because, the energy sector debt is a big part of our debt problems. So if you've made progress with that, I think that was great. And I think this time too, the president seemed to move away a little bit from trying to tout any economic achievement. Well, because we know that we are in very difficult times. It's difficult for you to come and say the economy is doing well when, clearly we know that the economy is not doing great. Even though we still saw the president talk about progress that's been made in the economy by way of the macroeconomic environment.
Yeah.
I think that only gives half or part of the picture. The progress that has been made in the macroeconomy doesn't tell us the real difficulties that businesses are facing, and these difficulties are coming from a difficulty in the lending space, imposition of so many taxes that has made the business environment extremely tough, and the fact that households' income have been buffeted by the recent high inflation and the higher cost of living. That means that the demand for goods and services have probably reduced, and so there are real difficulties. And we've also seen that even when we say growth has been resilient, it hasn't been creating jobs. So whatever little the president said about the economy is probably half the picture. We know that there are difficult times, but we are in an election year. It's probably too much to expect that the president will detail all of those other things that are not working so well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Esuming, for your time here on Business Live, sharing your perspectives with us on SONA. I promised you will engage the business community. Well, joining us to have this great discussion as well is the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Shonam Apelu, for some great discussion on this subject matter. Thanks so much, Shonam, for your time here on Business Live. Now, what is your overall assessment of the President's address today, and does that really inspire hope to you as a business community?
Well, thank you, Pius, and thank you for having me. Well, I would just say that I would rather intend to focus on specifics that borders on industry. And of course, there's always hope. which is what we look up to, but it would be good to focus on the details and see how it affects industry directly.
Listen to the president assuring of a reliable power supply, and I guess that must come to you as a good one, despite the associated risks.
Well, it's generally a welcome news, especially at a time where we've had incidents of instability in the supply of power to industry. 30% of the entire industrial activities is heavily dependent on power. And so power remains a significant component of the entire industrial chain. And with these incidents of instability in power supply, it affects significantly results, i.e. the production process. And so it's been a major concern industry have been facing, and it's been a major concern that we continually engage government on, so that for the president to assure us of a future of a more stabilized power regime can only be a welcome news. We only hope and pray that some of these interventions that are promised are urgent and are done very quickly, because of this power instability, most of our industries are being closed. If you go to part of the industrial enclave in Tema, you would typically see business leaders frustrated about the challenge they're facing with power. As a result, they have to either close down some of their plants and or shut down the entire production process. And we're saying that there has to be urgent steps to be taken to resolve the issue around power. And so we welcome the president's assurances and promises. Our hope is that all of these promises will be turned into reality soon, so that the industry will be happy and have power. And without reliable power, as you know, we will be out of business. And already things are hard. As you are aware of, you see the tax level. The tax level it's very high. Almost there are taxes on everything, and we're struggling to cope. So the least we want is at least to stabilize the power regime, so that we know that we can have a reliable source of power.
And Chonam, government is committed to completing some stalled projects after a successful engagement with external creditors. This should be a welcoming news to you as a business community, I guess.
Yeah, it should. Naturally, yes. But that's only if we see the result. Because, truth be told, the business community have received several assurances over the past couple of years and months. And so at this stage, we can only wait to see the result. There are several infrastructure projects that need to happen in order for industry to flourish. For example, if you're moving your goods from the farm centers to the industrial space, you need good access to good roads. So if you don't have the road in place, or if the construction of the road is truncated, then it affects the production process. So that explains why industry is not growing. It's not growing because there's a disconnect between the raw materials and the production gate. Now, if we have an assurance that the road will be fixed, then we are excited. But when? So the issue of time is very crucial. And we can only hope and expect that the president really put some of these things into action. We want to see results. He's got about less than a year to go. We want to really see what happens within this year, especially for the infrastructure projects that have been abandoned, and also for the many projects that would invariably contribute significantly to industrial development.
Thank you so much, Chonam Afelu, speaking to us on Business Live. Grateful to you. Now, you're still watching Business Live here with me, Pius Kojo Baka. We are pausing for a breather. We'll be right back with more. Please stay. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. Ghana is likely to lose over $100 million in revenue due to failure to process all raw cashew nuts produced in the country. This is according to the Chief Executive Officer of the Cashew Council Ghana, Ejaku Menta. According to him, despite the country's competitive advantage of producing good quality cashews, it is lagging behind the processing front. He spoke to Joy Business at a cashew master training program. My colleague James Ishen reports.
And the state of processing plants in Ghana is nothing to write home about. Virtually all the processing plants have closed down, except a few that are producing few thousands. In fact, currently Ghana exports almost 95% of all its production as raw nuts, and it is not good for the industry. And the reason being that our processing capacity is now gone down, and our processors also don't have the needed finance to stock the nuts for the whole year, and therefore those farmers also have to sell to people who can buy and pay them, and that is a challenge the processors are facing. If the processors have finance, especially from the financial institutions throughout the year, but if a processor taking a loan at 35, 45, 55%, it's no-go zone. It is nothing to write home about. That is what is really collapsing the industry.
Now, the Controller and Accountant General, Kwesi Kwesi has bemoaned the slow pace of growth recorded in Ghana's public financial management journey. According to him, there is a need for the country to manage the transition of governments in ways that would ensure continuity, to ensure transparency and accountability in the management of public finances. He was speaking at the ACCA Public Financial Management Focus Group Dialogue.
In the past 30 years, Ghana has embarked on some important PFM reform initiatives aimed at addressing systemic weaknesses in the public financial management practices. These reforms were expected to address some weaknesses in Ghana's financial management practices, such as weak compliance with financial rules and regulations in the public sector, aid from development partners. Delivering his address, Controller and Accountant General Kwesi Kwesi said the lack of commitment over the years have led to the slow pace of PFM reform initiatives.
As a country and professionals, we should more than ever before pay key attention to the issues of effective public financial management. There are many technological and digital initiatives taking place in Ghana that are directly or indirectly linked to the PFM processes of the country. We need to harness all these initiatives in a very coordinated manner to ensure that we achieve the expected benefits as a country. One main issue we should avert our minds to is how well we have to manage the transition from one government to another. Regarding important PFM reforms initiatives that are ongoing, one major factor accounting for the slow pace of PFM reforms achievement in Ghana is that important ongoing progress or sometimes after a change of government. This is a key challenge we should all work together to address as government on one side and as professional accountants.
Chief Executive Officer of ACCA, Helen Brand, underscored the importance of PFM reforms, adding that it would enhance confidence in public institutions.
The application of what resources do exist to the maximum benefits of all citizens is really critical. And that's where professional accountants come in with the strategy, with the planning, and with the accountability that PFM reform brings. Trust from citizens in government is absolutely essential, particularly if they're going to pay their taxes, if they're going to ensure that public services are healthy and there for everyone. And trust comes through accountability and transparency, which PFM reform brings.
Participants at the forum called for a national coherent plan to drive public financial management initiatives in the country. Jesse Ayura Magbako's report read to you.
And that's it for Business Live for today. I am Pius Kojo Baka. For more stories, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Great stories there. Banks recover in capitalization due to strong growth in 2023 profit. That's according to Fitch. And CDs depreciates 4.44% to dollar since January 1, 2024. $1 equals 12 cedis, 85 pesos. Great stories there. See you same time tomorrow. I am Pius Kojo Baka. I live with international business.
Africa on BBC News. Our top stories.